Yeah.
Just going live. YouTube.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, it depends where you're going with this.
Oh, okay. So thanks, Simon.
No,
Went to bed at 11 o'clock. And no calculator. Probably.
Yeah, it's a different world out there.
Tēnā koutou katoa, welcome along to our meeting today. As usual, we will start with our karakia, so we get everyone to stand. Whakataka
Kia mā, kina kina ki haka. Kia mā, tāra tāra tāra. He hira ki ana, te ata he tio, he huka, he hau.
Right, thank you. Just a heads up to everyone present that we are live streaming this meeting. Be aware of that when you're speaking. First item on the agenda is apologies. We have Victoria and Emma both apology for lateness. So do we have a mover and a seconder for that? Pauline and Sunita. Put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. That is carried. I haven't been told of any declarations of interest. So item 3, confirmation of previous minutes. Do we have a mover? Ali, a seconder, Simon?
Yep.
Put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried. That takes us to item 4, which is our public forum. First up today, we have Sander from the Phillipstown Community Centre Charitable Trust. Sander, welcome along. First time here, obviously.
Thank you.
So you get 5 minutes to speak to us today, and that includes time for questions if you want to leave time for that as well.
Awesome. So, Laura, thank you very much for having me. I'm Sander. I'm the new manager at the Phillipstown Community Hub. The people are a little bit different, but the purpose remains the same with what we're doing at the hub. So I just thought I'd give a brief update in terms of what we are planning on doing, what our current situation is, and I guess leave it open for any questions from you. So purpose remains the same. Our goal really is to try and engage with Phillipstown and create an engaging community, place of belonging. So Phillipstown Hub holds an important aspect with that. To do so, we have kind of 2 key purposes. One is to provide space for other community groups and organisations to connect with their community. So we currently have a number of agencies at the hub, the Refugee Centre, Otatahi Creative Spaces, Thriving Nadley, Rewhetu, Te Pua Waitanga, the Green Lab, Ice Cycles, Kiwi Family Trust. So we have a number of agencies that use the hub to connect with the community. Additional to that, the hub tries to do outreach work. So we have our community garden, which you have supported graciously in the past. We have our kotahihanga, which is the space for us to engage and have kai and share stories with our whānau. So that remains the same. And what we are trying to do now is to reach out further into the community. So thank you, Jake, for attending one of our working bees in September.
Didn't do a very good job.
You were photographed, so that's so we continue to kind of reach out into the community, let our neighbours and whānau know that they've got a space to come and connect. The key challenges for us remain the same as what the previous manager kind of presented to you, which is we are still looking for a permanent home. We have space. We're on a periodic lease now with the Ministry of Education. We would like to have more certainty with that. That gives more certainty not only to the groups that are staying with us at the moment at the hub, but to our community, knowing that we are there for them. One of the things that we are investigating now with the council is whether we can become a civil defence space. So if we can potentially lead a really strong case to MOE that the site is really vital for the community. And so we're trying to tick up these places where we can become connection points and meeting points in times of duress. So that's one of the real focuses. That's kind of me, really. So it's really just a chance for, I guess, for any questions. One of the challenges that we've got is some movement with some of our hub groups. So Aviva is moving out of the hub and relocating to the loft, which is at Eastgate. So we were looking for a new tenancy or a new lease group for that. Again, the concept is come collaborate with us and engage the community. So that's our that's our kind of our real strength at the moment, what we're pushing for. So that's it. Any questions?
Ellie.
I just wondered whether a letter from the board is in support of what you're doing when you go to the MOE for, is that assistance or is that something you've thought of?
It's something that the previous manager thought of and you've already actioned.
Oh, right.
So well ahead, yeah, that's already in place. So thank you. And we will be obviously showcasing that as much as we can. Some changes with MOE, they've got new property management team. So one of the things that I'm really focused on is building on our communication. So how do we tell the community what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how people can get engaged? So really trying to ramp up our social media, our comms, both online and in real presence. Yeah, how we kind of keep connecting with our funders and stakeholders to make sure that we're delivering on what they need. Yeah.
Is your hope that if you do become a civil defence, civil defence site, that will mean that the MOE is less likely to dispose of the land? Or is that essentially it?
Yeah, I'm trying to build a really strong case where the ties to the community are that strong that the MOE would really have to think twice about moving us off that site. As a trust, we're open to cohabitating.
Yeah.
If a school could come on site, but we still need to have some space because the community need in Phillipstown's, it's a really strong need. It's a highly deprived area, and we're really meeting some kind of key demographic needs in that community. So to move that space away really just ends up spreading the impacts of that demographic need outside rather than kind of addressing it. So we're really kind of keen on that. So anything that keeps us front of mind, strong in the community eye, that would help. Yep. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming along. It's nice to introduce you to some board members who you probably haven't met before.
Yes.
And it really sounds like you've hit the ground running and got some momentum going, so that's fantastic.
Yes, it's a learning journey, but we're all good.
Great.
Thanks. Cool.
Great. Next up, we have Birthright Canterbury Trust. So we've got Redora. Welcome along. And you've done this before, so you know what the drill is, don't you?
Yes. Tēnā koutou katoa. Yep. Tēnā koutou katoa ko Rodora Saglis Aho. I work with Birthright Canterbury Trust as the manager. And 5 months ago, I was here presented Birthright, and we also put some application towards our home visit support. And for today, I brought Jo along with me. She's our new senior social worker, and she will briefly give some background. And then after that, I'll give a brief report on where the funding went.
Kia ora, as Joy said, my name's Jo, and I've only been in the role 3 months. So, but I've come in as the third social worker and sit alongside 2 other pretty competent registered social workers that work for Birthright as well. And we have 1 other in Ashburton as well. So I've primarily been going through the wait list. We had a very long wait list that went back probably for a year. And I've largely focused on that. So that's to, I think genuinely we're doing the same support. I mean, Birthright has just celebrated 60 years very recently, and with our families as well, and all our supporters, and had a strategic sort of planning. But it's interesting, I guess, as we've reflected over the last 60 years, there's still a lot of we have a similar role, and we continue to support single parents who can be working or on a benefit and are really struggling out there. So one of the joys that I really enjoy is that often we can tap into, like concession cards for children and for parents if they want to go swimming. And that's, I think largely, thankfully with Redora looking for funding and different things, it's just outside the generic social work role, which is very much supporting single parents. We're able to offer, some fun things for families as well, which is really important. And amongst, there are often things that families, single parents can't afford. And that's often the social recreational types of activities. And I'm fortunate that as an agent, we often get gifted or, tickets for different concerts or things like that. And that you can just say that makes a key difference for families to have something to look forward to and a social outing together as well. So, I want to talk too long, but
Yes, so thank you, Joe. So for the report that the funding that we received from you, there is some during the reporting period, there is some photos that's on your screen. Those are social connection activities, and it's also highlights working together, such as Phillipstown Hub. Our parents group is there every Friday mornings during school term. And we recently had a pop-up shop, not recent, because back in July, but there's another one in November at Phillipstown Hub. And we also, it was such a great event because the children and the families themselves organized it. They were the one facing the people buying stuff, and they cleaned up and everything. And yeah, such a good learning activities experience for everybody. So for the outcomes on the funding that you gave us, mostly we surpassed our goals, and that's due to the hard work of the staff that we have. And the funding that you gave was during the times during winter, so that was really good to have face-to-face social home visits with the families. And as Joe said, it's not only about the social work support, but also the other needs of the children in the family. So it's all a holistic approach, that it's not only all the worries, it's not only the problems, but also have time for family fun. Thank you. If you have any questions, they're happy.
Ellie.
I noticed in the photographs there's appears to be quite an ethnic mix. So I think there's playing Chinese instruments, for example. Yes. Looks to be an African one there as well. What sort of ethnic makeup have you got, or diversity have you got in those who use your services?
So mostly would be New Zealand European. A high number would be Maori families. We were quite fascinated by why would Maori families come to us. We're not fully like Waipapa Maori, but we work as much as we could with Maori whānau, and they trusted us. And other ethnicities such as Asian, Middle East, Latin American. So everyone's welcome. And I think they know that, like when most of our referrals come from word of mouth. So a friend of a friend, or, oh, have you heard about this organization?
Any other questions? No? Thank you very much for coming on. And it's nice for some board members to meet you, Joe.
thank you.
So thank you for all the work you're doing. Keep it up.
Yeah, thank you for the support and the staff team as well.
Thank you.
They're great, aren't
We're lucky to
they?
have them.
Yeah.
We might keep them.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Unfortunately, Anne Galloway has been brought up at Hagley College, so isn't going to make it.
Oh, probably can't get across here in traffic.
Yeah,
But she'll be rescheduling on today.
I told them.
But then we do have Dave Gardner, who's going to speak to us about Waipapa. Dave?
Thank you. Well, it doesn't really work if Victoria's not here, as she is my city councillor, and it was more directed to her. I'm not a company, I'm not a group, I am a person.
We know you.
Yes. And I was hoping to invite her on a bicycle ride for Waipapa around her ward. It was my ward. But yeah, she's not.
I can relay the invite for you.
Yeah.
We didn't accept you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if anyone would like to do that, then
Can you lend her a bike if she
I
doesn't?
can lend her a bike. Yes, I have an electric bike that she could use and a helmet.
No,
so-
no, not electric. She needs.
Yeah, yeah, it was supposed to go pretty much everywhere. Show really cool things that.
I'm sure she'd love it.
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can definitely pass that on to.
Yeah.
So is this, are you planning the route yourself?
It would be with her, like just a casual thing. So
Oh,
I know some.
Very romantic.
So you're
I know
taking
some
her
good areas. So what was that?
you're taking her on a date. I would.
It's good, yeah.
I would.
But yeah, the weather's getting warmer and it's October, so. I thought,
Yeah, that's good.
So are you focusing more on the cycleways, or?
No, it would be a mixture. It would be cycleways, shared paths, and
Just general roads,
main North Road.
taking her on the main.
Yes,
Get it down
yeah,
Cranford
you know, get a nice, nice broad range of things.
Yeah.
There is also one more thing, for the Northern Corridor heading south, there is that electronic speed sign. Is there any way that we could encourage NZTA to use a better version of that? Because I believe it encourages people not to slow down because it shows their speed when they're going under 50, and 50 is a limit. And if they see their speed under 50, they'll go, oh, I'm going too slow, I better speed up.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think it would be much better if it showed them they're going 65, 70 Ks an hour
Slow down.
instead of the slow down. You know, I believe in Australia, they have a happy face when you're going under the speed limit.
Yeah, there are some of those
Yeah.
state highways.
Yeah, so right, because it's a bit reversed at the moment, which is weird.
We can certainly answer
Inappropriate.
that question. Yeah, you're right, it would make sense for it to show the speed of the people who are speeding.
Have you noticed any increase in the speeding? Like since it's opened, as the speed better or worse?
It's got worse, of course.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely true.
don't know if you guys have noticed the new crash that happened on the roundabout, Cranford Street roundabout. In between the Northern Corridor and the north part of Cranford, you can see a little dent in the fence near where the people travel. And along Cranford Street, it's really weird having that 50 Ks because, you know, it's too narrow for 50 Ks. And you guys have talked about the damage to the, can't call them barriers. I guess they're barriers to stop people from walking onto the road, but not to protect people from the cars. So, yeah.
Yes.
Also, thank you for the request to NZTA last month to try and review the speed of Q2 drive as well. It's, 80 is a bit crazy for that. You can see crashes around the western roundabout there as well. So, yeah. Well, thank you.
Great, thank you very much, Dave, and we will pass that on to Victoria.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. We do not have any deputations today or any petitions. So that takes us to item 7, correspondence. Ellie is moving the correspondence from Papanui Baptist Freedom Trust. Pauline seconding it.
Oh, I think Jake.
Oh, Jake. Sorry, you would.
I'd like
Jake.
to move that we write and thank them for thanking us.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. Why not?
Right, there was
You
Ellie
write it
and
first,
Jake.
then I'll second it.
We'll put that motion. All those in favour? Is carried.
It's really nice of them to do.
Yeah.
See people do things like that and think I should always do that. Yeah.
Item 8, proposed road names 47 Hawkins Road. Sean online.
Yes, I am online.
We'll
see me?
take the report as
Only you share it. Oh, there you go. That's better.
we'll take the report as read and open it up for any questions from anybody. Pauline.
Yeah. Hi, Sean, Pauline.
Hello. Hi, Pauline.
Just wondering, we do this every time, but the names are suggested by the developer. These ones seem to be all like connected with the 4 ships. And not the 4 ships, but early settler ships. And yeah. And so the alternative ones are more like connected with the immediate environment and geography. So can you tell me why we didn't perhaps select some of each?
I guess the the preferred names that have been put up by the developer are carrying on the theme that they already have in the first part of the subdivision, and the references in there to Polish settlers is kind of interesting because there are some road names in the northern part of Prestons that are referencing that same early settler population in the area. So that was the reason. I mean, the primary reason was that they were carrying on something that already started in the first stage or two of the subdivision.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I'm happy to move it. I mean, if anyone else wants to, I've moved it today.
Do we have a question? I'll move it. Do you want a second?
Yeah, that's fine. Yep.
I just got a question in regards to, are they planning on, are they planning on making any signage in regards to the history and where the names come from as well, to allow people who move into the area to know the culture that they're sort of trying to bring in there?
I don't know whether they are or not. I don't have an answer for you on that. Sorry. I did. Was it this board who made that suggestion in a submission on the road naming policy? Somebody did. No, one of the boards has done a suggestion about that. I would expect that they're not, that it's unlikely that they're anticipating doing that. We can find out and get an answer back to you.
Nice to have it suggested to them because it's a nice thing to do to have these themes going on, but it would also be nice so that actually people knew about them.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand what you're saying. You know, I recognise the Accrington name because it's one of my waka, but the other stuff you wouldn't necessarily know anything about unless you've got some connection to it.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, debate on that one. Yeah, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
That's carried.
We have checked the names, they're not names. So.
No, we have to rely on these.
Staff to do that.
Sure they double, triple check.
Item 9, Melbourne Park irrigation system
Happy to move.
installation proposal.
Happy to see them. I've got some questions.
Yeah, we'll go to questions. We have, who's online? No, Bridie's online for this one. That's right.
Hi, Bridie.
Welcome along with Bridie and Richard's
So would
there
it-
too.
Be helpful to a quick staff overview of how this is coming out.
Bridie, do you want to give us a quick rundown on how we got to this point?
Yep, sure. So we were council parks were approached. Well, actually, our Rec and Sport unit were approached by the Canterbury Rugby Football Union, who utilise Melbourne Park as a bit of a training ground, especially in the summertime. At the moment, they're having to bring out what we call K-line, which is a big, heavy irrigation system to water the grounds over the summer months. They've offered to put in and pay for an automated irrigation system. They sort of thought they were doing the right thing, but sort of jumped the gun a little bit and wanted to get it in without actually following the right process, which the delegation to approve such a structure, although it is a subterranean structure, it's still a structure going to parks. The delegation does lie with the board. So we've pushed through a report, which I'm hoping you all have, sort of outlining how we got here and what that irrigation, how that will be put into the park. Richard has kindly written up that report for us. Does that give you enough overview?
Yes, Emma, did you have some questions?
Well, I just, want to ensure that it's kept in community hands, this park. We have in the past had the Canterbury Rugby Union try and actually, have it as their own. After the earthquakes, they try to take it as space for themselves. And it's a well-used park by the locals as well as the rugby union. So I just want to make sure that the locals are considered in all decisions, not just the rugby union. I understand that it's an important asset for them too, but it is also a community park. And
You got
A question?
Oh, I'm just like, no, I've got a statement in regards to the fact
Well, we're
that
not in
the
debate yet, though.
community
Question.
has the community been notified?
No,
Okay. But there's going to be a start work out once this is approved, right?
correct.
Okay.
So just to clarify, this is an irrigation system which the park requires that whatever you call it, is putting it in at no cost to council. But yeah, that's correct. But you're not claiming any ownership of the park as a result.
No, it still remains that the park doesn't change and the use of the park doesn't change. All it means is that the irrigation that is on the park is just targeted through an automated system. So there's less running around with big, heavy irrigation systems that have to be on in the daytime, which actually means that there's more evaporation. So we have, it's not the most responsible use of water. If we want to target water and we want to make sure we're actually watering at the right times, it has to actually be an automated system. So it's kind of a bit of a win for us, really, in terms of water use.
Twofold win that council's getting a park irrigated at no cost, and also there's the water savings as well.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes. So that watering would be at night when it's dark outside of the hours that the community use it in the evenings?
Yes, because it's an automated system, the best thing to do, the most responsible thing to do is to put it on at night. That's when we tend to water all of our fields throughout this sports park network. They do come on at slightly different times throughout the night, so we don't put pressure on the water supply throughout the city. But yes, generally the best practice and what we do is to put it on during the night when we have low evaporation rates.
John.
Hi, is there a noise factor or a risk of other nuisance to neighbours during the night during operating times with irrigation?
The only time we've really had problems with irrigation is when we have neighbours who border the park. In this instance, we don't have that at Melbourne Park. And no, there's no noise really to speak of.
Good questions? No.
Can I say something though?
We'll get over and second it, and then we'll go to debate. Oh, Pauline moved it.
I'll second it.
Ellie seconded, sorry. Now we'll move to debate. Ellie.
Great. Look, I think this is absolutely fantastic to have a partnership like this with the rugby union. You can see that from my place. Essentially, the kids and families around the area go down there to watch the Crusaders training. It is a very well used park, and I think we just have to applaud, the common sense, if you like, of the risk they're taking and money in the. One thing we do need to be careful is that we don't put up fences around the park, go through the proper process. I'd like to thank staff for doing that as they did so that it could go through. So yeah, bring it on. Later, but this is a great initiative, so thanks.
That's what she's heard.
Are we just sorting out that? Pauline.
I was going to say exactly what Ellie does, particularly for regulating the staff in absolute unheard of record time, because it was an oversight on the part of the rugby union. So just, big ups to staff, and it's a great little project.
I'd also just like to thank staff. I know there was a lot of work that went into getting this report before us today, so thank you for that work. I'd also just like to point out that putting an irrigation system in Melbourne Park makes it like a lot of other parks in the city that have irrigation systems. Also having Crusaders training on it during those months that they can't use Rental Park is no different to other parks which have sports clubs and having teams training on them throughout the day through different times of the year. So yeah, I think this is a win-win for everybody.
You should see the kids who go down there. It's fantastic.
And the mothers and the kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyone else? Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour? Aye. Carried.
Can you just note me as an abstain, please, because I've come in halfway through.
Yeah, must be Fridays.
It's a baby, sorry.
Oh, you could tell.
Are you?
Congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
Right, item 10. Three
my gosh.
376 Maple Street, proposed climate parking restrictions.
Happy.
It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
No questions. Jack's moved it. Victoria seconded it. Put that motion, all those in favour?
Aye.
It's carried. Item 11, same deal. Jack's moved it. Victoria seconded it. Put that motion, all those
Oh,
in favour?
sorry, hang on. No, I've got questions. This is the Ranui one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I had two questions really. Firstly, I still don't understand why there are two parks there. Parking is really tight around there and people do use it also to go to the hospital or whatever. I don't mean to sound, excuse me, pedantic about a single park, but you know, a 10-minute car park there, I would suggest will deliver what it needs to and still allow people to park longer in another one. And so I just wanted to raise that around the table. I don't know whether anyone had thought of that. And I wanted to clarify too that there's an error on the diagram. That's what I got from that email, I think, isn't it? Yeah. So where it says on the diagram, which is page 37, proposed removal of one park, which is on that yellow liney thing, that's actually not being removed, is it?
That's the consultation plan, not the
Yeah, not
decision.
the approval plan.
Right.
Read a bit down the bottom.
What does it say?
Read Jack's two of them.
Yeah, page 36 matches the recommendation.
Oh, I see. Oh my God, well, sorry, you guys got it, but I didn't see that. Okay. All right, so that's not being removed. All right, but that was the only issue I had was that extra parking
Mike,
thing.
do you want to speak to that?
Do I just push the that one? Look, just in regard to the P10, we did look at it. The issue is that there is a relatively short section between the end of the existing parking at the moment. You can see a curb extension coming around from Cashel Street. That's sort of like the northwestern end of it, down to a vehicle entrance. And we looked carefully at that and thought, well, it's just barely two car parks, particularly when you have to allow for the meter back from the vehicle entrance. And to create one single P10 and then try and make a paid parking, it was going to be a multitude of signs. It would look a bit ugly. The second part of that was we thought, well, it made a consistent length there. If we could get two small motor vehicles to park there, P10 dropping off, picking up patients who are, staying at Ranui House, but also if Ranui House has any good service vehicles, larger vehicles coming in, it would give them the opportunity for a reasonable sized park rather than trying to jam in. Or I actually know the area quite well because I park near there myself. I have seen double parking in the area. So the logic of it was to make a consistent area of P10 that was separated from the paid parking, just to the other side of the vehicle, plus be somewhere for goods vehicles.
Yeah, thank you. You did mention that. I do wonder though if in front of that vehicle, closer towards the Cashel Street corner, is there not, I'm useless with measurements, but it does look to me as if you could take that front park actually forward slightly, and that would make it a little bit larger. I mean, I do take your point about multiple signs, but God knows we've got enough of those down Cranford Street and all around the city at the moment. So with respect, I don't think that would make a huge difference. But what I'm more concerned about is that we are already under a huge amount of pressure in this area for longer parking, particularly because of the hospital. And I just think that one P10, moving that slightly forward a bit, if in fact that's possible, because it does look as though the road is straight there. Why that build-out's there anyway, I don't know. But yeah, if we could do that, surely that would retain one, at least another car park that people could use.
Yeah, you go ahead.
All I can say is some of those uses that area a lot. And my wife works at the hospital. We drive around there in the morning.
Looking for parks.
Well, she's lucky enough to have a park supplied by the medical school.
Right.
There is a huge number of people crossing at that point. It's a very busy crossing across to come from Castle Street and then walk across to the bridge at Boat Sheds. It's a very high use. I don't have the numbers, but every day we have to watch as we come around Castle Street turning left. They guarantee there will always be people crossing the road.
Sorry, what's the point of that? I'm not following that, sorry.
Sorry, that was just in response to you saying that curve extension seems to be quite a large curve extension. The reason for that is to provide a shorter crossing distance and improve visibility.
There's no reason why that couldn't move forward slightly though, that one that you're talking about there, you said they're very small car parks.
Yeah. And it was just a balance of saying two small vehicles can get in there in a P10 or a larger service vehicle, because Ranui House does act like a hotel in a way, and there's a lot of people coming and going, and a lot of servicing does happen.
But it would also help larger vehicles too. I mean, even if you kept them as P10s, you're referring to two smaller vehicles. It's not only smaller vehicles that drop people off there either, would there be?
But that's why we've said that space, it's either two small vehicles or one large vehicle.
But if you made one of those longer, sorry, I'm probably not being very clear.
Oh, I see.
What I'm saying is if you made one a bit longer, you're not then restricted to two small vehicles, which you're referring to.
Oh, yeah. It would be possible to look at modifying that curb extension.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not meaning that either. So you're the expert here. Does that, in the picture I'm looking at, it looks as though there is a piece of pavement in front of that car park that doesn't go into the curb extension.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, yes. Sorry. The problem is we try to avoid people parking vehicles, so the back of the car is actually on an angle sticking out, and that's why the broken yellow lines come around there, so that the parking starts where you can be truly parallel to the curb.
So you're answering my question then. So what I'm saying is that does start to build out there. It's not straight as it looks on the photograph.
Yes, that's
okay. Thank you. That's what I was asking. Yeah. Right. Thanks.
Correct.
Just following on that, is it safe to assume that this is also an area where people are using drop-off pickup? So even if Ranui was only needing one drop-off pickup, the other one could well be utilised by public, because that's a really close access into the hospital.
Yes.
Appointments and outpatients, and there's having taken my own elderly parents, this is an area that I use to drop them, and they walk across this little bridge over to the outpatient. So by adding an extra P10, you're actually creating opportunities, a safe opportunity for entry and exit into a vehicle onto the parking area.
Just through the chair, I can say from direct experience too, because I've worked in the area and I work very closely with the facilities manager of the hospital. And we have observed on a number of times people, it's not like you just go into a shop or something. People can be in stress situations going to the hospital as a visitor. So I've got someone unwell. It is a problem area, and I could just say it's, now hearing your views about could we maximise the parking, and it's given me a little bit of incentive now, because we backed off trying to get more parking for visitors further along there because of the opposition, and in my view the hospital's been there long before those residents have resided there. So that's something we can come back to at another time. I think you all know that parking around the hospital is an extremely sensitive issue, and it's quite critical. We were just simply trying to provide more visitor parking at the hospital. We've got fairly intense opposition to it, and that's why we've backed off at this stage.
So you're inferring you might go back and look at that again now?
Yes, the reason we backed off, because we felt that the request from Ranui House came by the Mayor's office But it was regardless of that, it was a legitimate request. We felt that we didn't want to delay it any further than we needed to by getting into a protracted argument about parking somewhere else. I just saw that as an opportunity to fix up that whole block in one go. But, you know, at some stage we'll come back to that.
So is what you're saying, that you'll look at more time restricted car parking in the area to better service?
Future.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Simon, do you have a question?
No.
No, oh, sorry. Sunita.
I just want to know that you have mentioned about how patients or families who would cross the road from Ranwy towards hospital. Is there any provision of zebra crossing?
Not at this stage, although one of my colleagues is here at the moment in this room, and we have done we have put zebra crossings along Ralston Ave, and in my view, it's just my personal view, that I think they are a good value. Whether we, depending on what happens with Ralston Ave, which leads on to this piece, I'd say that's something we can seriously can consider in the future. It's really dependent on what we do, what the final outcome of Ralston Ave, and I don't want to get into that.
No, it's all right. Ali.
Can I put an amendment in on this with regards to just voting for one? I just want to see whether voting for one will get some legs.
We don't have a mover or a seconder yet, so you can.
Yeah.
I thought we did have a mover.
I thought we did. Oh, did we?
Take one.
Yep. Oh, sorry. And then
Oh, and then I jumped in because I wanted to talk about it. Yeah.
Jason Victoria again, right?
Yeah.
So
you
we
can't.
put this one. No, you can foreshadow an amendment.
I can foreshadow one. Yeah.
You have a seconder.
Yeah. Well, I don't know because I haven't actually discussed it. I don't know. Is anyone?
What is it?
Well, I just think that 1 10-minute park and one longer term or 120 park. We only need 1 10-minute drop off and pick up there, because parking around this area, as we've already heard and said, is just it's premium. And that location is so close to the hospital. It's such a loss of a car park for someone, as we've heard, who would be incredibly stressed trying to find somewhere to park, and we're losing one here. When we, there's only been a request for a 10-minute park, and a 10-minute park might do it. 1 10-minute park might do it.
Yes, anyone wanting to second? Ali?
No, I wanted to clarify something, but I've missed that opportunity.
With Mike? No, you can still.
It wasn't that they asked for 1 10-minute park, they asked for a 10-minute park area. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, it might not have support. So, but the problem is I don't want to vote against a 10-minute park there because that's important, but I think 2 is just not necessary. So I don't know. Yeah, but what can I do?
You can abstain.
Abstain from it? Yeah, all right. Okay, thanks.
The rest of the parking is timed parking, isn't it? There's no park as long as you like.
It's paid time parking currently.
Currently 120.
Cool.
Okay, so we have our mover and seconder. Is there any debate, Emma?
I'd like to say it's great, and it's great to see that you are going back and rethinking more space there for people to pull up and let visitors out. I've recently just been using it for 2 children who've been there quite a lot. And as a mother who is with her children, it is incredibly stressful because you've got children who don't want to be left at the hospital by themselves, and you cannot park anywhere. So yeah, keep going.
Anyone else? No, okay, we'll put that motion. All those in favour? Right. That's carried.
And I'm abstaining.
Yeah, Ali is abstaining. Item 12, Graham Condon Centre Mobility Parks.
I'm happy to move that.
Oh, we've got people. Emma, I think you would, so we'll go Victoria and Emma. No questions, debate. No, we'll put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Easy one. Item 13. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Well done.
Discretionary response to fund application from the Christchurch Methodist Health Mission.
Oh, yes.
The Aratapu Preschool Whānau Hub Emotional Regulation Program.
I'm happy to move it.
Moved it, John seconded it. Any questions for Trevor?
I'm interested to hear a little bit more about what the program is. Sounds interesting.
It's got here in the matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the update.
Yeah, maybe we could get an update from them.
Sure, they do it.
Like that would be helpful.
Yep.
Once they've run the program. So we're going to move around a second to any debate. Right, we'll put that motion. All those in favour? Agreed. And item 14, community North area report for October.
Better and better.
Yeah, it's pretty.
The area report, happy to answer any questions, take it as read. There's some really cool events coming up. And then obviously, lots of information.
Ellie has a question.
Yep, my question relates to Shirley Road. Blah, 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 it says at the top.
Page is it?
Oh, I'm sorry, 49. Engagement with the community to determine a vision for the future of Shirley Community Reserve. Timeline submissions being analysed for a report to the board later in the year. There's no mention of the workshop that we raised at the last meeting before that report comes to us.
It's booked.
Yeah.
We've got something up for this on 30th November.
Could we have that on the timeline? Because at the moment, it basically shows engagement with the community and then submissions go to the board for analysis. I'd like there to be a clear indication that the board is working through those submissions and comments before it gets to the report stage on the timeline. Thank you.
Any other questions from anyone?
Just a quick one. The photo on page 50. Just checking what we've got a photo of there. No caption on it.
Is that the awards? Yes.
Oh, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, that's the awards that have been commissioned for the Pivot at the Board project to recognise rangatahi civic achievement in schools. So they've all been procured and now delivered to the various schools ready for ceremonies. And
I presented the first one this morning at Papanui High. It was well deserved. We knew what the student had been doing all year, 5 years at the school.
Did you get some pictures?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I haven't done anything with them yet, but I will. They're very well received by the school. I'm very grateful.
Wonderful. And they look amazing.
And they're very impressed with the board itself. Yeah.
Yeah, so I count 8 there, I think. So we've had looks like we've had a good uptake on that. And yeah, they look amazing. Very nice.
Be like Mark. Mark was the lead on that.
Yeah.
Be like Mark.
So, what's the process? Do the principals come to the board and say, we've got a student deserving of this? Or
No, they just incorporate it into their end of year placement.
so
But they were given some criteria, right?
yes, some guidance to sort of trying to respect their autonomy around where they wanted to put. The feedback on that was that different schools had slightly different focuses, particularly with different age groups. So it gave them some scope there to with the guidance that we provided.
right, so we've got 8 schools on board.
Yep.
And can any more schools come on board if they want to, or is that it for now?
Not under current. So
Yeah,
that's quite out there.
Is it just high schools? Or any school? They do look beautiful. I'd like to see them do.
I think that's the Aratai coming up soon. I think one of you guys will go.
Yes, I need to.
Did we see one and where are they?
I do have a close-up photo I can send through.
Would you think so? Would be nice. Yeah.
Any other questions for staff? I'm happy to move this report.
Cool. So I was just going back to the, will you be putting something on the newsletter with a photo and one of the students and a little blurb about what it is and what they were given it?
Yeah, we can put it in the next area report. We'll put it in our report to council and
Yes, just
put
for
it on our
information.
Facebook page.
Yeah, thanks, sorry, you know.
No, we're good. So I'm happy to move it. Do we have a seconder? Pauline? Put that motion, all those in favour? That's carried. Well done, guys. Thanks, guys. Thank you. And finally, elected members information exchange. Emma.
Westminster Street is one way. And I don't see it, I didn't see it on any of the, have I missed something?
I haven't seen it either, actually.
It's one way from Hills Road to Aylesford, which is a huge disruption in the traffic, and I know nothing about it. Well, I got caught up in it today and I had to go round in circles, like, yeah,
Right.
because you can't get out.
Yes.
And there's no, I mean,
It's,
yeah,
is it a temporary one way?
I don't know. I've got no idea. I don't know. But it's one way and there's no one manning it. And I was sort of coming down, so I was going towards Westminster and all of a sudden it became one way. I was on the other side of the road. There was nothing really telling me that it was going down to one lane. It was, you know, I actually thought at that stage it was two ways, and that I'd be having traffic coming into me. It's like, goodness me, Alice, it's like, this is a long way to have one-way direction or two-way direction traffic coming in each other. And then I worked out that it was only one way. So it's major. And what's going on? Can we find out?
There's nothing on the council traffic updates. So, but there may be on the other one.
I mean, that's why that was actually basically why I was late, because I got caught up in it and I couldn't get out. And there's cars everywhere.
Okay. We can follow that up.
Thank you.
Pauline.
Yeah, I probably should have mentioned this in the area report, but it doesn't really matter. But the Edgewood pool, you've got it in there in the photo, but just an update on their fundraising for the 50,000 for the final costings, because they can't use the money that they've got, the 3.6 for the capital, for the legal stuff at the moment. They've raised 18,700 from the website launch and the donation portal there, so they're pretty close now, just need 30. Yeah. Well, that was actually from, I don't know, they've raised last week, I think, so inching towards it.
And they got another 150 from COGS, did they? Or
yes, they did. Yeah, they got 3.55, I think now. So they've got enough to build it. They just need to unlock the 50,000, well, 30 now, to get the detailed costings, detailed drawings. They've done all the other geotech reports and everything like that.
Are you going to ask about that too?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It depends what you're thinking.
No, I mean, are you asking about the pool?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Is there any way, it seems so silly that they can't unlock some of the money that they've got there for building it to do the planning they need? Is there no way, what would be the most expedient way we could tweak that funding condition from council? Could that come maybe through by the board or?
I honestly would rather not go there.
Not go there?
Because it would have to be rescinding an old resolution and it's really long and messy. I think
and then we might get it.
So there's no expedient sensible way to.
No, they'll get here and there's other people looking as well, so.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I ask about the pool? Yeah. Pauline, can you just explain to me, I know that it's already been explained and it's probably just my brain. That money that you say they've got, the 3.6 million, where's that come from? And so they've got $3.6 million sitting in the bank.
Yeah.
They have, and where's that?
Well, no, because the council are giving 3 million from the council and they'll get that when they've got everything lined up, ready to go.
So when that was approved, that mid-3 million, that was on the proviso that they had what amount of money? They'd raised what amount of money?
There was no figure on it, just enough to build it, which they have reached there, but they it's a kind of a catch-22. So they need the detailed costings to prove that they've got the money.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I thought that's what I'm misunderstanding, obviously. I thought there was a dollar figure put forward by the council that the pool had to have before that $3 million.
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks.
So the 3 million from council, 300 from, I can't remember now, 150 recently from COGS.
Yeah.
300 from lotteries. Yes, that's right. And Rata has indicated that they will chip in for the accessibility stuff, like, you know, the ramp and the hoist and the anything in the building that needs, they might pick up a little bit more there, hopefully. But yeah, pretty close. So to share the thingy because that's actually gaining a lot of interest. Thanks.
Thank you. Just noting that it's Whakaoho, Papanui Community Day on Sunday, the 5th of November. And encourage all the elected members to get on that. It's always a great day. It's held at Luke, Papanui Youth Development Trust, just that way, 1A Harewood Road, on the Sunday afternoon. So public, of course, and elected members welcome to come along.
Thank you.
Simon, what time does it kick off?
It's 1 p.m. till 4 p.m.
It's always really well attended, isn't it?
Yeah.
Victoria.
Exciting things to tell you about. I got to do my first ribbon cutting duties this week. So how exciting is it? At the Bellevue Retirement Village, they've opened up a new wing. Photographer wasn't there at the time that we did the ribbon cutting, so we had to restage it, by which time we only had half a ribbon. But we did because we'd already cut it in half. So yeah, I'm working closely with a group of very engaged residents who are petitioning and wanting to review some of the bus routes to try and get a bus route back up Condell Avenue. There's bang smack in the middle of a couple of routes, and it's really quite a distance for them to be trying to get a bus. So I'm working with one of our local couple of our local ECAN councillors to try and progress that, because that's now that after the rebuild, there's a huge number of residents that are in there that'll utilise a bus service. So I'm working with them. I've also recently attended the Rotary 65-year celebration function. They continue to do some really good work in our neighbourhood, but it would be fair to say that they have a very ageing membership and they're really on a drive. There needs to be a big push for new members and new interest in Rotary. Just bear that in mind, please. If you see any stuff about it, try and support it where you can. And if you've got younger members of the community that are looking to be involved in a volunteer capacity somewhere, please, they're a long-standing organisation. They're always looking for new members.
So is that
Papanui Rotary. I'm trying very hard to work within the new CSR system and not push everything up to the Office of the CE. I've had quite a run on just local issues for residents and some community groups that Mark's helping me out with. And then the only other issue I just wanted to raise and put on your radar is that there is some activity on one of the Paparoa Street School area residents' Facebook page about some very unruly and bullish and sluggish behaviour by some youths, some males in and around the Paparoa School Street area. So can you just keep your ear to the ground about that, please? And make sure that you are either reporting it to the school or to the police as they're trying to deal with that. It's quite disconcerting what's going on. And I've had a number of residents been contacting me about it. I'm trying to push it towards the school, but just if you can be listening for that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, just Victoria's just sparked something there for me that recently I've opened the Kiwanis conference here and the Zonta conference, and spoke on the weekend that the Canterbury Pilgrims and Early Settlers do, which what I'm saying is they all are saying the same thing. They've all got an ageing leadership, and they're all saying, where are the young people? And I'm kind of saying, well, look, actually, young people now are really busy because it's a two people working thing. And I think we need to be targeting the 50-year-olds where the children are perhaps just getting older and leaving home, to start to get on board with these things, with all of these projects and all these groups that do incredible work for our communities, including fundraising for lots and lots of things. And it's quite a concern. And just think about maybe we could do some sort of drive that encompasses all of these kind of things, Rotary, Lions, Zonta, everything, and let people know what they are. And because a lot of people don't even know they exist, let alone what they do. So I'm going to put my thinking cap on about it and see what we can maybe do. If anyone thinks of anything to encourage 50 and 60-year-olds, that's young now. It's incredible.
Well, we could do something like the volunteer, like a ward, get them to three wards with the volunteer groups, like they do for youth at the
like a trade show.
Yeah, like a volunteer trade show. So, providing the community with all the opportunities that are out there.
Something like that could work. Yeah.
And we can have a regular, promotion in our newsletter. Yeah.
or a celebratory column.
We call volunteering opportunities.
We could put one a month or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
profile them.
Yeah, profile them, yeah.
That's a good idea.
I'm not sure if the newsletter is the right place because that's already people who are already involved with these community groups. It's wider. Go.
Maybe we could get,
That's another idea.
maybe council could do it on Newsline, profile one a month. That gets Mark off the hooks.
Yeah, well, no, that's something maybe even we can mention in our report to council. Then on council. City. Anyone else? Emma?
Look at it, 5 o'clock on time. It's 5 o'clock. I just wanted to raise this. I raised it about cars parking on footpaths, and it's continuing to grow. I'm studying it around St Albans area, and there is the numbers of cars that are parking on the footpaths are continually seem to me to be increasing. And I think it's something that the community boards should be looking at and preempting, because it's only going to get worse with more and more houses, more and more apartments going on. And like there's one in particular at the end of Westminster Street. There's a house they've set, what's happening is people are making their property, selling off half their land and putting another building on it, which is fine, and then using the space outside their property to actually park their cars where they used to in their own property. And it's public space, it's messy, and it makes the streets look bad. It's dangerous. There's one there right outside the school, so the cars are coming and going across the footpath when they feel like it. At the same time, they're using it as a car park, but they're not keeping the grass down. So yeah, there's all these things that are happening to make our communities look uncared for. And I'd like to see the community board actually take this on and do something about it before it gets worse.
It's already illegal. Yeah.
Well, not according to the responses I've had from the council staff.
No, it is illegal.
Promoting snaps and salt and from telling people to snaps and salt.
It's against the bylaw. When they park outside the rugby houses, the flats on Melbourne Street, I snaps and sold it, send it to parking, and they come and either ticket or give them a warning. They are not allowed to park on
It's not happening with these ones. I got responses saying that it was parking.
There was one specific.
Yeah, at one end of Courtney Street, and the other end, too, and nothing from that either. And then they're parking on the gardens, because of course the gardens haven't been replanted after, like, by the developers after they wrecked the gardens doing developments.
Parking in Courtney, I can't.
No, Westminster.
Oh, Westminster.
Yeah. And Courtney one, it's the corner of Courtney St Albans, where again there was a house, now there's two. And with the entrance into the old house is still there, and they park in it right on the corner.
Oh, I know where you're
talking. They have two, like they actually have 5 cars parked there.
Yeah.
But apparently that's legal.
So if we know where these areas are.
No, it's all over. It's not. It's all. Well, I've got the email. Honestly, I haven't responded to it. I'd like to take the Mickey out.
Forward it through to Mark and.
No, it came through Mark.
It's Mark.
Yeah,
It's Mark.
I think it went to everybody. Mark always sends those to everyone.
Yeah. So is the difference? What's it called with this? Like when you get a car across the footpath.
Right of way,
or a vehicle crossing. And so the vehicle crossing, it used to be a vehicle crossing, and now apparently it's a park. And I'd like to know how much we're charging them for their 3 cars that they're parking on the car park and the 2 down the road. I mean, we could do it. We could make quite a lot of money out of it.
Could you send it around again? We can maybe take it offline.
Take it offline. And do just encourage people to snap and salt.
Yeah, but also,
and as Ali said, they if they can, they come out straight away.
Yeah, but it also, we should be doing something and improving that they don't have to be actually caught. I mean, like, do they actually have to be caught on there when the enforcement person goes around, or can they, is enough just to have the photo?
Not that I'm aware of, because they have to ticket them when they're on there.
Well, perhaps we could be looking at changing that, updating that.
I think we can. I think it's burden of proof.
It's an enforcement, it's a bylaw. And
a photo is a proof.
It's not evidential.
What? We'll look at that email again and see what we can use that. And yeah, as I say, just encourage people to snap and salt.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, I know people like to get an update on what I've been doing as chair since the last meeting. So since our last meeting, I attended the Northwest Community Sports Hub Community Workshop, which was stage 2 of getting an idea from the community what facilities are lacking in the network in this part of town. 3 weeks ago, maybe, Monday night. I presented our board's Way Safer Streets submission to council. I went in to help adjudicate the Papanui High speech competition. Really great, there's really high quality there. I attended the Canterbury Cancer Centre Community Open Day, which was fantastic. That facility is amazing, and first people have moved in there and started staying this week.
That's the one up on
Langlands Road. Yep, and they are keen to show our board round if people want to have a look and arrange that. I presented our draft naming policy submission to the hearings panel, and they took on board our point about that lane that the cancer centre is on, and are looking at ways to stop that same thing happening in other places. I made a presentation to councillors as part of the LTP process, just speaking to our board priorities from our community board plan. We had this morning our community board chairs forum. There was a presentation on some changes that are being made to the request for information process. Victoria alluded to it before. There is a combined boards briefing on that next week. I would encourage everybody to go along and listen to the new process and how it works, so everybody is on the same page and knows what to do. As I said earlier, I presented that award at Papanui High School this morning, and then after that, this afternoon, I presented our board's submission on Plan Change 14 to the Independent Hearings Panel. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, the council website has a page for each community board. From next week, they're going to be shifting all that onto the new social pinpoint website, which we've had a combined board briefing on how that can work. It enables us to basically customise it for our board, all the information we want, we can run polls and make it a lot more engaging. So there will be information coming from the engagement team about that. That's fine. We'll do that next week. Cool.
Does it have a separate website, or is it through the council?
It's through the council website.
So just put the link on there.
It's the same website that all the engagement stuff now on.
Yeah, the LTP.
Yeah. Right. Cool. Right. Well, we will finish with our closing karakia then. Uno here.
I can't find emails from that.